you know, that can be different to me, but the lesson still makes it through that filter, right? So whatever your prejudices are, whatever your screen is, the idea is that all the excess will get caught up in that filter, right? But the purity of the message will come through. That's like the idea of the parables of Jesus, the teachings of Jesus, and you know, one of the most common things that people talk, people say about Jesus is, you know, whether or not you believed him to be what he said he was. If nothing else, he was a good teacher. And some people find that offensive, and some people don't find that offensive. But the reality is that a lot of people base their life and their morality off of the teachings in the New Testament and have no reverence to Jesus Christ as an actual God or as the Son of God. And a lot of that has to do with the stories that were told, and those being, you know, I mean, that's just an example itself. Okay, all people that either believe in Jesus or don't believe in Jesus, but believe in the teachings of Jesus. That's a pretty interesting thing, because that, like I said, that just goes to show you that filter, where some people the excess through your own prejudice or bias, and I don't say that in a bad way, it's just through your own experience, can be filtered out, and then what gets through, because Jesus taught these, you know, messages of love and compassion and things that most of Western society, most of the morality in Western society is based on. But he also said to worship him because he was the Son of God, and so you know, it's one of those things. Well, that's an interesting concept to think of, because, well, he was either right or he was either absolutely insane, right? So how could he be a good teacher if he, like, how could he be a good teacher of morality if he thought that he was the Son of God and that you should, you know, you kneel before him? You know, and when you say, well, how can I accept one of those but not accept the other, or how can I not accept one but accept? So again, that goes through the idea of story, because the teachings of Jesus, right, were story. His declaration on him being the Son of God, he didn't tell a story about that, did he? He just declared that he was. And so we can see even through that, the declaration, the black and white, I am this, do this, don't do that. That's easy. I don't mean to be like offensive saying that's easy to reject, but it's easier to reject, or it's easier to have strong opinions on those black and white issues versus interlacing your message or interweaving your messages through story. Because, you know, the teachings of Jesus aren't as widely debated as whether or not he was what he says he was. And that's what Coelho recognizes in this story. He's not promoting Christianity by any means, but he uses Christian imagery, and he uses Christian metaphor, and he even plays around with certain biblical characters, introducing them or having them kind of pass through, but not necessarily promoting the religion, because he's not promoting the religion. He's promoting kind of his own philosophy and his own worldview that has little to do with faith, but more to do with you know, setting your goals and a sense of self-worth and an overall worldview, not a religion. So that's set up here in the prologue, in that page and a half. That took 20 minutes. Okay, let's hope these other pages don't take. Let's hope it's not 20 minutes for a page and a half. Okay. We're introduced to the boy, the main character. Funnily enough, the main character is not the alchemist. The story is about Santiago. And what does Santiago do? And where do we first see Santiago? Where is he at the very beginning of the book? Right, he's a shepherd, and he's also camping out at a church. Starting off with this imagery right off the bat. I should have said this before I got into it. What we're going to do with this book, I don't know if I made it clear with you guys or not. I have some of my other classes. The plot of this book is really basic, right? It's really simple. Like the thing that I always say is like this: it's not like the Sixth Sense, and spoiler alert, but not like you find out Bruce. If you haven't seen it, Jesus. But like Bruce Willis is dead all along, right? And you're shocked at the very end because you should have been paying more attention. It's not like that, right? This thing is very basic, very simple, and it's very difficult to get confused. The plot is so simple, so I'm not going to really talk about the intricacies of the plot, of the characters, and how that. What we're going to go through and do is point out passage by passage. So we might skip 2 or 3 pages, 4 or 5 pages to get to the next section that's important to kind of highlight Coelho's philosophy, worldview, and the literary devices he uses, metaphors, personification, parables, to get this message across. Now, on page 7, the boy is thinking, if I became a monster today and decided to kill them one by one, they would become aware only after most of the flock had been slaughtered, thought the boy. They trust me, and they've forgotten how to rely on their own instincts because I lead them to nourishment. 2 things going on here. One is the idea of, well, first of all, if you call someone a sheep, is that a compliment? Why?
They just whine and go. Follow.
They just follow. They trust.
Right.
Easily.
And the boy ends up, he finds out, Santiago finds out that he ends up ultimately learning more from the sheep than they've learned from him, because he finds out that through spending enough time with the sheep that they didn't eat according to his schedule, right? He thought that he was there to protect them, right, and lead them to nourishment, but what he finds out is that he started eating and sleeping according to their schedule. And so but here at this point, he's realizing that if I became a monster today and decided to kill them, he could wipe out more than half of them before they realized what was going on and started to flee. And so he's starting to realize the dangers of that, and of being a sheep, and how that can apply to a human being. And we also introduce the idea of the slaughter of the sheep, or we've heard, if you've been to church, the blood of the lamb. Jesus was the lamb that was sacrificed and cleansed his blood. Okay, so we have a religious theme going on there, and we have an overall theme for the book and Santiago's kind of awakening. On page 8, at the very bottom, he said, one afternoon on a visit to his family, he had summoned up the courage to tell his father that he didn't want to become a priest, that he wanted to travel. And his father says, people from all over the world have passed through this village, son, at the top of page 9. Said his father, they come in search of new things, but when they leave, they are basically the same people they were when they arrived. They climb the mountains to see the castle, and they wind up thinking that the past was better than what we have now. They have blonde hair or dark skin, but basically they're all the same as the people who live right here. The boy says, but I'd like to see the castles and the towns where they live. The people, when they see our land, say they would like to live here forever. Well, I'd like to see their land and see how they live, said his son. And so it leads into his decision to be a shepherd. And basically what his father is telling him is that the grass is always greener. And this is a very cliched kind of deal. I mean, the actions and the plot taken in this book are really nothing new. The boy kind of rejects what his father has in store for him and wants to see the world, because he hasn't seen the world, and he wants to see what is out there. And the father says that people come from all over to come visit where they live, and they said that they could live where Santiago currently lives for the rest of their lives. And that's just because that's human nature, right? I mean, people think that traveling to another place, that moving will make you happier. Moving somewhere else will make you happier. Seeing something else will make you happier. I mean, what's the cliche? I mean, this thing is riddled with cliches, but not in a bad way. what's the cliche for that? Like moving somewhere will make you happier, or seeing something else will make you happier. Like, the grass is always greener on the other side. I mean, that's classic. I mean, that's what everyone does whenever most people, or a lot of people, right, when they, well, in Europe and a lot of other parts of the world, as soon as they graduate college or high school, they go travel and see the world, right? So that they can come back and they can know that they don't have to worry about that anymore. They don't have to think about that anymore. Like, they know that, okay, people are basically the same. Living one place doesn't make you any better or any happier than the other. Now, on page 10 and 11, the boy, whenever he starts off being a shepherd, he talks about the bottom of page 10, he would try to travel new roads, and he starts thinking about the sheep. Says the problem is that they don't even realize that they're walking a new road every day. They don't see that the fields are new and the seasons change. All they think about is food and water. Now, one of the things about this book, and I get back to about these stories and these metaphors, that they're so basic and they're so well put together that if you explain them too much, you sound like Tony Robbins. You know that guy with the huge head. He's a motivational speaker. You don't know who Tony is? Okay. Well, he was like big before I left, so I don't know him. I don't know the motivational speakers now, but if you go into these basic stories, these basic metaphors, you start to sound really, really cheesy and really corny. But for the sake of that, talking about going down new roads every day, and the sheep, they don't see that the fields are new and the seasons change. All they think about is food and water. And this doesn't. This goes back to some of the previous articles that we've read in here, and I've asked you guys about people and I don't know how we've in America, how we are with entertainment, right? All we care about is what's on TV, and what's on TV is usually crap, right? That's not very good. That doesn't challenge us. It just kind of dumbs us down and makes us want to eat fast food and drink Coke or whatever. Oh, he's locked out. Yeah. And we can see that as a society, right? I mean that it's. I mean that's. I remember. God, who was that guy? He was a big political talk show guy. Anyways, like in politics, political talk show hosts will use that term. I think he used that sheeple, right? I'm referring to people in general that just follow leaders mindlessly, and the dangers of that, and how we can see that in our everyday life, and the sense that what Coelho was laying out is the idea of realizing, what you want to do with your life, and seeing that every day is an opportunity to actually do that, or there is an opportunity to experience something new in your life every day, and as opposed to just worrying about where you're going to eat and drink next. So early on, like Coelho is setting up the stage with the boy, with Santiago. He is becoming a victim to becoming a sheep, but at the same time, he's also experiencing what it's like to be sucked into being a sheep. But at the same time, he's experiencing the drawbacks and the negative side, because he realizes that he's leading them. He just doesn't realize he's getting sucked into it. But whenever he realizes the possibility of, when he realizes what happens to the sheep, how mindless they are, how they just mindlessly follow, he sees ultimately how sad it is, and also the possibility for great evil, over them, right? How he could lead them, how he could kill them if he so chose, and the power that he ultimately holds, which is a warning for us.